Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to get on with part 2 of our lovely gold mine build. And I've heard some people say that mining is boring, but you know, it's also drilling and blasting. Ha ha! So let's get on with some amendments first of all. As you know, I absolutely love getting suggestions from all of you for amendments or improvements to my city, but I didn't expect so many for a video that was largely based on base plates and train track and train ballast, but in they came and a lot of them were very good, so I have reflected quite a few of them. The first couple were about this lovely skull gold mine keep out sign, the first being very, very simple indeed. One of my favourites though, just changing the trans clear to trans brown lantern on the helmet to represent it being sort of burnt out and old, which I absolutely adore, so that's fantastic. Another one was adding a lantern onto the back of the sign, so it was the reason why it had fallen off its nail and was leaning to one side, and I've only managed to attach that using one of these very new kind of stud with a clip on the back, which I got as part of one of the Monkey Kid sets, so it's a good thing that is now available as a part, because that has really made that a lot better if you ask me, so they're very cool. Some more were about the pile of coal that we used to hide the tan base plate underneath, and I've added gunmetal coloured 1x1 rounds there to represent the coal sort of glistening in the light on the tops there, and it makes it a lot more visible, especially on the camera. Also a worker busy shoveling away to clear it up into his wheelbarrow, so that is good as well. Two more there, and then we wanted something for the slime puddle, and one idea was adding little aliens or something like that, so I've got these Z-blob characters, but better than that is to have another train rail worker with a barrel that he's filling up, but oh no, he's mutated. I mean, a lot of people suggested having a hazmat type character, which I've got in my cargo area already, so I'll just be pinching him from one to the other. And I like this because of the colour similarity of the series minifigure, the Blacktron mutant, and this using that one leg and the double arm and half of his face with that sort of snaggletooth and the red eye just shows that it must be very virulent, because it's mutating him as he shovels away, and he's having a bit of a pause because he's feeling a little ill. So yeah, I really like that idea. That is fantastic, and a good use of those minifigure parts, because space has probably got enough aliens and mutants already, so that's brilliant. And then a lot of people suggested that I extend the narrow gauge off in this way because it wasn't realistic. Well, I kind of figure that this is old and out of use, and basically it's just been fenced off and probably did go on, but isn't anymore because, well, now they just take the ore straight off the train as it comes out using the big crane and put it onto trucks, all these trucks that will be driving on the road. So it used to work by rail and now works by road. But in the future, if the fairground allows it, I could come off here, because a couple of ideas were to make it sort of just descend into the weeds and look really decayed and old, which is a good idea. But another one was to have it come to a mini little station and have a little narrow gauge tour train that would also go into the mine. So I like that idea, but I'm not going to do either of those yet because I want to see how it kind of works with the fairground in the future. But yeah, lots of good ideas there. My favourite, it's a toss-up, isn't it, between the lovely mutant, who is very funny indeed, and the simplicity of this lovely sign. But anyway, all of you deserve a bedoing if you suggested any of those, because that has changed the scene and made it look a lot better. Good, right, so today we are focusing mainly on all of the rock structures and the buildings made into them and the crane and all that, which will basically take the ore from the little narrow gauge train onto the trucks and off and away. So basically I'm probably just going to rip out that base plate and that base plate so we can build straight onto those, bearing in mind that we've got a few studs here to play around with as well on that one, but that's a bit too well integrated already. And then, yeah, I think we'll move to the building desk because it's going to be a lot easier with pieces all over the place. Good, good. Well, I'm really looking forward to this mine build for a couple of reasons. The first one being that I finally get to play with these wonderful sets that I have long owned but not used in Brick Nottingham 1 because there wasn't enough space. So I finally get the chance to get them out and build them Robin Hood brick style into my city. So that I'm really looking forward to because I really dig these sets. Pun intended. But the second reason is because I'm going to be building completely freestyle today. I've got loads of brick pieces, as you know, that I collect for all my undersea, and I'm going to just be kind of putting them together in a normal sort of organic way, rather than what I usually do, which is using either Lego Digital Designer or increasingly these days Studio to kind of plan my builds meticulously and know exactly what I need and exactly what's going where. So yeah, it's quite fun to do things in the proper way for once. So what have we got as our ingredients? Well, I've got loads of little bits from all sorts of different brick halls, mine orientated sticker pieces and stuff like that to incorporate. But the main body is set 4204, The Mine from 2012, which has 3 constituent parts that I'm going to basically use as my inspiration for my build. But I'm going to make them much bigger, better, and with more bells and whistles, basically. But I'm still going to try and stray true to the original set, so it's kind of recognizable at the same time. So the first part, which I think I'm probably not going to change much at all, is the little office with its security locked door and barred window, which means either they're keeping some of the gold there, which wouldn't have been refined, so I'm not sure about that, but maybe it's because it's got all the wages for the workforce in there as well. So we've got the foreman there with his walkie-talkie, so I like that a great deal, and we've got another one of these signs, so I think that is going to be largely unchanged. Then we've got what I'm thinking of as Tunnel 1. Now, Tunnel 1's got the traffic light on for the train, and that's the one that the narrow gauge track is going to be going into, and then ... into the wall. And also it has the crane, of course, which lifts out of those train carriages the ore, dumps them into the hopper where they presumably get crunched up into bits and then go down all of the tracks into the back of one of those trucks and away. So yeah, this one I'm going to keep as a tunnel and have the traffic light and have the crane, but probably the crane sort of higher up on a bigger mountain, maybe a bigger archway, I don't know. But yeah, incorporating all of that track. And then we've got Tunnel 2, which has sort of got the backdrop, and that's the one where the sort of spinny boring machine is tunneling into. Maybe it's a new tunnel or something like that, and that's obviously got the conveyor on top with the other play feature. So I'm also going to keep that in a sense by having that second tunnel without a track going into it. And, well, again, more conveyor, more rocks, more details all over the place with a door on the very end, which will link up with that curved bit of road, which will sort of go around there. So hopefully it looks similar to what we've got here, but much better. Cool, so I'll just put all of that to one side for now and bring in the 2 base plates that I've lifted. So I want to incorporate the gold mine sign somewhere. We've also got this sign here, but also I was trying to work out how much space I had to maximize the space for this build as much as possible. And by measuring the length of the wall on the side that we have developed and working out how far it is from the back wall of the room to the train track, I've kind of worked out exactly where this is going to be positioned. Well, I hope. And what it means is we've actually got 4 more studs worth of distance here up against the wall. So basically it's the same as doing what I showed you a moment ago, but just pulled out like that. So when this track here aligns and joins up with the rest of the system, it's straight. So that means that's great. I can use some dark tan plates to just build off the edge of this base plate, and everything still fit in perfectly, which gives us, yeah, just a band more space, which will be very gratefully received. So that is what I'm going to do first, sort of build out that area, kind of an apron in dark tan up to about here. There's a sort of squiggly line, and that's where the rocks are all going to sit and everything else is going to go into, and that will dovetail perfectly with our switch, which is the next problem to address. Because it's got this great big sticky out bit here. Now, I'm not going to be playing with that play feature. Indeed, it will be buried into the mountain. So I'm just going to have it permanently set to go around the curved option. But fortunately, Trix Bricks give you the option of pulling off the sort of handle so you can make it a lot more low profile. So that's what I've done, and just put a few tiles on there. So when it's built into the mountain, because it's proper sort of 2 plates high, well, you just won't know. It'll look like that. So I think that's pretty good as well. And then another thing I have to consider is kind of behind all of these pieces, what I'm going to have. So in the original set, we had this sort of plates mounted on hinge bricks. So it had sort of a back wall. And one option is just clearly to have the wall of the Lego room showing through, but that's blue. So I'm not sure if that's going to look that great. But then if I make it too dark, well, you won't see into it at all. So maybe the blue is actually a good thing. You'll have to tell me what you think in the comments section. I had considered using some light bricks, which I thought I had nearby, but I don't seem to. And, you know, you could press those as a play feature in order to light up the two tunnels. But then I thought, well, this whole thing is going to be up against the wall, and we're going to have about 1.20 meters of table, or 4 feet between where we're standing and this scene. So unless you've got incredibly long arms and are willing to stretch that far to keep pressing the buttons, they just aren't going to get used. So I don't think I'm going to do that. So instead, I was looking through what I have in my collection, and one piece that is official Lego is this Darth Vader cloak. And I thought I could technically attach that to the back of this to give it a black backdrop just for a ... And have the excess just going behind the edge of that table, between the table and the wall. But I've only got one of these anyway that was sent in by a subscriber. So it only worked for one tunnel anyway, so I'm not sure about that either. So I'm going to keep pondering on that one. And while we're here talking of amendments as well, I've got one more, and it was given to me a while back, not with last week's video, but it was to include a canary, one of these bright light yellow birds, in my mine scene in the future, because, you know, in the olden days they used to detect gas leaks underground, so the miners wouldn't perish by letting a little bird sniff for them first, and yes, unfortunately perish itself as a sacrificial lamb, basically. So it was a good idea to incorporate one of these in the scene as well. So I'm just going to put it near the sign for now, but that is a good idea as well, and it's also worthy of a bedoing. Fantastic. So yeah, essentially it's going to look a bit like this by the end, and hopefully a lot higher, a lot better, with more of everything you see. So let's get started with that base dark tan layer. Okay, well, I've got all my deep sea cabinet pieces out for the dark sand and the rock faces and so on, and I'm using them here with a few variations in the fact that now we're integrating a little bit of reddish brown to represent sort of muddy bits that wouldn't be present under the sea. But I'm also using the 4 studs that are hanging off, as I just mentioned, to spread out a little bit more horizontally. And I've also made the executive decision to move everything forward about 3 studs from the sort of original set sort of cut-off point, in order that we've got a bit more space for the crane to turn around and a bit more space to get a higher mountain in effectively, because obviously it have to step back as it gets taller. So that is where I'm going to start. So I've built around and right up to the track here. I'm going to incorporate the switch mechanism into the wall and continue down there on either side. But this one we're going to have a bit more open because, well, it won't have a train track in it. So I've used some more angle plates to make it look a bit more mysterious, like it's a jagged edge, and even some pieces that I got on my recent brick haul to make it look a bit more interesting. We've got the traffic light there from the original set, and you can see I've started adding some stickered pieces in here. Now these came on a triangular sign for explosives, watch out, caution sign, and this one was a very sun damaged, if you can see that, piece that had this mining logo on, which I've just trimmed down a little bit using some scissors to decorate this box, and I reckon that is where they safely keep all of the dynamite for the blasting, away from, irresponsible hands, effectively. And I thought that would go near the office building that could be right up against that wall, because I like that, and I don't think it needs a back wall, so it may as well just lean against our Lego room wall as a facade. So I can push that down. It's got a bit more integration with some more plates, and then I probably move the sign from that angle to that angle just so we can see it a lot better with a light protecting the security door. Very good. So you see, this is where they keep the explosives, so, well, it's less dangerous. That's my thinking. Anyway, cool. So we've got our first kind of gap here to bridge with an arch, and I was thinking about using the original, which were just kind of 8 wide, but it looks a bit plain. I wanted it to be a bit more deep, essentially, and having it 8 wide kind of constricts you a bit. But if I make it the next size up, which is kind of 10 wide, but then other bits around it which make it 12 wide, then it's, I don't know, too broad, if you see what I mean. So I was playing around with all of these arch pieces, and I came up with this idea, partially kind of inspired by the Indian restaurant, where we had the multi-layered sort of arch pieces, all augmenting the one before. And if we have the front one mounted slightly higher than the one behind and the one behind that, you'll almost see bits of arch each time, and it looks like a really sort of complicated cavern that you're going into from certain angles. I mean, that looks absolutely fantastic. And I've done that by using the same piece, but just staggered. So you've got the front one kind of in the middle position, the next one stud to the right, and the one after that, one stud to the left. And therefore, when you combine that height differential with that lateral differential, you end up with that. I just think that looks really inviting, don't you? So you're sort of going into a very complicated tunnel system, and it's just been condensed into that 3 stud thickness. So basically, I'm going to take that off these demo pieces and put that in sort of here and have that as our thing, and then I'll build up these walls to do that next bit. And then I've got to work out what I'm doing in the side. So I could just do more rock faces using these camouflage burps that I basically use the big pieces and camouflage with as many different slopes as possible so it doesn't look like it's too repeaty. But when I was looking in my quite big collection of burp pieces from all of those brick halls, I discovered I've got a bag of brown ones. And I thought this could represent Earth, and I can't really use these under the sea so readily. So yeah, I thought that would be a really good idea. So essentially I could move from grey to kind of brown, effectively, and have it kind of looking a bit more like that. Now, there is the very valid point that you're probably never going to see this, partially because, well, once we've got a lid on it, it's going to be very dark, whatever colour it is. And also, I'm probably not lighting it up with the light bricks, which I did find. Where are they? Oh, like that. So technically, I could mount one of these over it and give it a illumination. But I still want to get it looking good at the short distance. When it's 1 meter 20 or 4 feet away, it's going to make no difference, let's face it. But I am a perfectionist. So I found also in that bag that I've got some dark brown ones. So why not reflect the gradient of sort of going underground by having some reddish brown, then dark brown, and then the wall? I think that shows that it's getting darker and darker and more mysterious. So I like that a lot. So you can kind of imagine what my next stage is going to look like already. And I'll do that on both sides. And I think I've got enough to do both tunnels in the same way. So that is what I'm going to continue doing. Well, this is already looking better than the original, if you ask me. A lot more sort of bulk and heft to it, I suppose, when you're not on a piece count constraint for cost. It's looking much more organic as well, with everything sort of being layered in and bits of plant life and different gradient levels and things like that. So very good. I'm building up the structure in this back corner the whole time, just with bare bones to give a support for the crane ultimately that will be sort of based on this section. But there is our arch. Let's see if I can lift it up and you see it. Sort of triple arch. I think that looks really good actually. Bit of an interesting way of making those arch pieces more useful. They're very cheap usually because no one can use them because they're quite unwieldy, but having 3 offset like that I think looks fantastic. And you can see the reddish brown going into the dark brown down those tunnels as well, even though this might be the last time we see it ever. And even more so over here. It looks really good, doesn't it? I'm thinking of having the bare wall, even though it's blue, it doesn't make much sense, visible, just so you can kind of have it as a very different colour from the rock face and stuff, just so you can pick up some of those details, hopefully, from those greater distances. And you'll see also I've had the brainwave of adding loads more of these lantern pieces, which I got loads of on a kind of VIP pirate set, I think it was. Oh no, was it Halloween? I can't remember. Anyway, it just happened I was doing a lot of ordering of parts around then, and I got a few of those add-on packs, and I didn't really know what I was going to use all those pieces for, but then wouldn't you know, it turns out they're really useful. So I've put a yellow 1x1 round brick in there to make them look like they're on. And I suppose if I was the sort of guy that did lighting, I'd wire a little light into all of them. And that's probably making you think, oh no, Robin, do it. I think it's a slippery slope. And if I start doing that, it's going to slow down progress, which is already too slow, to an absolute halt. So I'm not planning on doing that, but it would look good, I agree, if each of these were actually lit up. So yeah, there is the second tunnel. with the reddish brown and the dark brown on the inside, and all of those lanterns as well. Starting to add a bit more detail as I sort of develop, but this bit's probably finished now with the amount of detail that that's going to have on there. I noticed pleasingly that the dynamite sort of wick is sticking out of the front of that letterbox piece, so you could technically light it and yeah, watch mayhem ensue. But anyway, yeah, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. And then I've got one more set of signs as well, which came from the Spider-Man train rescue set 4855, and it's these two, and they look really good actually. Stop and danger. So I've just clipped them to bar piece, and then I can put the bar piece on there just to remind people that they are in a workplace and they aren't to be messing around. And I think that is a nice pop of colour in the yellow against the all those greys and browns and so on. And what I've been doing when designing as well is getting my little mine train, which we haven't got much track here actually, so I'll have to be a bit careful how we do this, but and just checking that it does fit with all of those lanterns and so on. And you can see it easily clears, even if I'm not putting it on the tracks very well. So that's great. We've got good details from the original set carried on, but a lot more details. So I'm liking that, and a lot more sort of height as well. This is higher than the original one and so on. So yeah, and I've got even more to add. Things like the loud hailer in red. I have loads of those going around because they probably have to announce when they're doing some blasting so no one gets hurt. Cool. So yeah, I'm going to plod on. I'm going to do, well, a sort of similar arch on the other one. I probably won't do a multi-layered one this time, but yeah, something similar to the original set, because this one's going to have the conveyor belt on top of it. So I'm probably just going to almost pinch this. Let's rip this off. Ugh. Pretty much, let's pull that off. Pretty much do that effectively. Yeah, I mean, that's a good start point. That's kind of what I've been aiming towards. And then augment it with a lot more detail around the edges. So yeah, that is what I shall do next. Hey, look at that. Very nice, with all of that fully built in and integrated with our first play feature on the conveyor belt. Lovely. And just continues to look more and more stocky as I go on. And I like the fact that these two arches are now of sort of equal size and look. So it looks a lot more balanced, whereas the old one was a bit flimsy by comparison. And with all of those dark bits and the lanterns all going off into the distance, I think it looks great with new stickered pieces, and the door with these plates and so on, all sort of hanging onto the next base plate, that one with the roadway on, of course. So yeah, lots of interest. And the added fact that at the beginning I brought it forward a few studs means that I've got some space on the back between the conveyor and the wall, just to kind of use some more big ugly rock pieces. So it's not just sort of into the mountain on the front on that level, but also continues to be behind it. It's really been dug in, and I like that. So we should be able to go up a little bit higher as well. And then it'll get higher and higher on this side as well. And obviously I'm going to cannibalize the original crane. I don't think I need to change that as such. But if that is going to go on its moving platform, because it kind of slides from side to side as well, over here, as per the original set, well, it can't really reach the hopper for the conveyor anymore. But the good news is that I kind of thought of that a long time ago and have collected loads of sticker pieces from this set as part of my brick calls. So I can make a whole nother conveyor with the original sticker for here in here. And I've also added a hazard tile rather than the 1x4 normal one. So I better change that on the original as well. Get rid of the plain one and put on another one of those stripy ones. That makes a lot of improvement, if you ask me. Oh, yes. And I have to give a thanks out again to somebody who sent me this conveyor belt piece on a recent brick haul. You know, when you just send in subscriber pieces, sometimes you don't know what they're going to be useful for. And then sometimes you think, oh, I'm pretty sure I sent one of those a minute ago. So there it is. It's being used already. Some take a while to appear on the channel. Others, not long at all. So that is effectively going to go here on top of all of this, and that'll get more rocks built in front of it like this one, and more rocks built behind it, sort of over here sort of thing, and look integrated as well. And then obviously the crane can lift off the rocks from the train, drop them into this one, conveyor, into this one, conveyor, onto those trucks. Yes, I like that. And a repeating pattern with different heights means I can go even higher as well. I like it a lot. That is excellent news if you ask me. So yeah, I don't mind a visible play feature at all. In fact, I quite like them because I like my Lego cities to look like Lego cities, for it to be kind of like it's a toy in use, just better than the original one. So that is good. We've also got the third turning handle on the back of this crane. Now that might not be visible. And the last thing I was thinking was I did a sort of fit test for this tunnel for the train. So I better do a fit test for the driller machine with the other one because it's looking a bit too narrow, but it does fit. If I do that play feature as well, we can get into there. It's very close indeed, but I suppose that is why it's being drilled, to make it slightly wider. So I think I'm going to have that kind of at that position with it pointing in, but not really buried that deep. Besides, with its very pointy nose, it can't really go very deep anyway. So that scene will look a little bit like that. Oh, if only I could motorize it. It might be quite dangerous. Right, so I think this one needs more decoration rock behind, as does this one. But what I'm going to do next is continue this sort of top level of rock face all the way up here so we can have the base of the crane about there. And now I'll have to adjust my camera so it's higher so we can even see it. But yes, the crane should start about here and then go up from there. So yeah, we probably need another big ugly rock piece. Ho 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 ho! More progress, and it's really coming together now, isn't it? It looks so big and sturdy with all the interesting sticker pieces that I've been collecting over the months and years on top. Little flecks of green. I brought in a lot more of the old dark grey in here with these big rock pieces on their sides here. I was convinced I was going to be using corner Burt pieces, sort of 4 of those to mount this on, but given the rails and the kind of feature this being able to move left and right, it suits much better the medium big ones that are back to back. So that's what they did in the original set, and yeah, it was quite a good idea. So yeah, I've still got quite a lot to do, and I've got to do this back level with the rocks sort of behind all of the conveyors, and I've got gaps in here, and all along this edge as well to do, but I haven't got time to do all of that today, partially because, well, this freestyle building takes a lot longer than when you are doing exactly what you previously planned and know exactly where everything's going to go. But I have got all the main ingredients in place. We put the crane on there, so yeah, it can slide back and forward, go down, pick up the boulder and bring it up and snap it into the first of those crunchy hoppers. That must make it into medium pieces, and that must make it into smaller pieces, I get, before it goes to be refined. So yeah, quite a bit still to do in making it complete, but wow, if you imagine what this came from at the beginning, that kind of really small, flimsy facade, we've got broader, deeper, taller, better, more conveyors, lots of signs and interest, little green flecks everywhere, boulders, yeah, and we haven't even finished. So I think when this is in position and we've got our driller and all of these signs in the right place, then it'll be absolutely beautiful. My main concern though is it's too nice. I want to be able to see it up close and personal, but it kind of has to be up against the wall because otherwise we're going to have a huge mountain that we have to build. And for me, that feels like a bit of a waste of space when we could use it more productively. But the original plan was to have a full length table, the same depth as the side with the marina on and so on, full of fairground and things like that, and train yards and stuff. So essentially, this is going to be behind all of that, as far back as those facades are behind all my modulars and the racetrack and stuff like that. So will you be able to see it? I don't know. And that's made it even worse by the fact that I was thinking of sort of having as the sort of rightmost bookend, which will be pretty much directly in front of this for the fairground, that loop coaster. And that's massive, really tall and sort of view blocking. So I'm desperately hoping that the view from this diagonal and this diagonal is still clear and still looks really nice when this is in position, because otherwise all of this effort will be for naught and you won't be able to see it much at all. But I mean, we will know it's there. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving this. I don't know if the camera's picking up the sort of dark browns and medium browns and all of these lanterns really well in the cavities, but it looks an absolute picture in real life. So if I only had more time, I would plow on and finish this. But, you know, at least it gives us a part 3 to look forward to, and I can get it incorporated with all the track again, get this all in position and decorated as well. And I think it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Well, thanks again for all of your suggestions to make the work of last time even better. And I'm sure you'll be sending me another list of things that I could add to this scene to make it improved as well. Don't get too excited about the areas that are yet to be done, because obviously I will be doing those in due course. And there is one more surprise I have actually kind of up my sleeve to augment this scene. And I could use it up here on the surface, or I could use it underground at the other end of this train track, wherever it goes, looping underneath my tables until it gets to that deep underground level. And I think that's really good fun. So I'll probably do that as part of part 3 as well. And then we can decide whether that is something we want to have above ground, because it's a bit wacky and a bit crazy, but that's what we do here on this channel, so it'll fit right in, won't it? Because much later we'll be having this narrow gauge track reappear in the deep underground, which will be in the cabinets on my frontage, where I've got the sea, then the underwater scene, and then underneath that, right near the carpet floor, the underground. And I'm kind of having that with more narrow gauge, I hope, with sort of ramps and so on. So it's a bit like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, crossed with power miners, crossed with goodness knows what, loads of monsters, and maybe even a land that time forgot, or something like that. So yeah, there's loads of opportunities for there as well, for whatever ideas don't quite fit in this tight space on the surface. But what we have so far is pretty awesome, if you ask me. It's looking very natural, very bulky, like it was here for many, many moons. And yeah, it's not even finished anywhere near the top. So yeah, can't wait to do part 3 when I've got a bit more time. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. Do also remember to click on the links in the in the description below rather, if you value and want to support these channels. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul on Wednesday on a sister channel, of course. Loads of packages to get through for parts for future projects. But then, yeah, it has to be part 3 again, doesn't it? I don't think you'll want me to leave this unfinished for any longer than is necessary. So we'll be back here on the building desk and integrating with the Lego room next time. So until all of that, see you! Yeah, still think that sign's the best part.